everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting the stunning, the beautiful, the chivalrous, the incredible Freeguild Cavaliers from the Cities of Sigmar army box that was sent to me early by Games Workshop to build up and paint for all of you, and I am very, very excited to get going with this gorgeousness. I mean, just look at it. 5 of the best models ever made. I certainly am starting to think so. And we're going to be painting all of these up today. Now, you veterans of the channel will know that when I'm holding the camera like this and we're looking at the models like this rather than jumping straight into the painting, that means there is some admin that we have to get through. So these have been primed in grey cere, all of them. They've all been primed in grey cere, as you can see. And when you look at the box art for these guys, they are not uniform at all. They are a 1x1 type deal. Everyone's got their own individual heraldry and colours and all that good stuff. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. So we're basically getting 5 painting tutorials in one video. 5 different horses, 5 different knights. And, well, this is going to be a good time, I think. I'm really excited for this. They're so cool. So we're going to essentially get them all up to Warhipster battle ready one by one, and then we'll highlight any similar bits between our knights, because that seems like the sensible thing to do. And a lot of the metallics will be the same, for example, but the horses and things will be slightly different, as will the heraldry and all that good stuff. So with no further ado, we're going to jump in and we're going to start painting them. We're going to grab our paints, we're going to grab our brushes, and we're going to get started. So the horse we're going to start on is going to be this individual, our champion. And the colour we're going to make is a roughly 4 parts Seraphim Sepia to 1 part Agrax Earthshade mix. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply this over the top of all of the horse's flesh. Just like this. And with that done, we're then going to take Seraphim Sepia on its own, and we're going to apply this over the top of just the flesh. Just leaving that tail as it is. And similarly, on the legs, what we're going to do, we're going to bring this down to just past the knees, like that. Wash the brush. And then we're just going to blend it out, so we get a very subtle change in colour. So with that done, we're now going to take Baal Red. I know. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply this over the top of the cloth. All the way around the horse. And we're doing this now because, well, we're already kicking off the heraldry part. And so with that done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Black Legion. I'm going to apply this over a number of different details. So we're going to start with the hooves. Just like that sort of thing. We'll do the other side just so we can finish this one off. There we go. Just missed a tiny little bit just there. There we go. Right, what we're also going to be doing with the Black Legion is we're going to be applying this over the top of the inside of this diamond on the horse. Like that. And we're also going to apply this over the top of the cushion upon which he is sat, and all of the leather straps. So with all that Black Legion all applied all the way around, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Wyldwood. I'm going to apply this over the wood of the saddle. And with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors and apply this over top of all of the armor. So with all that Iron Warriors applied, as you can see, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Rune Lord Brass. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the trim. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Carroburg Crimson. I'm going to use this to shade all the red. And so with that done, we've got one thing I've forgotten to do, which is this skull. The colour we're going to use for it is Skeleton Horde. So with that skull now done, what we can do is we can take some Targor Raid Shade, and we can use this to shade all the silver and all the brass. So with that done, we can now pop our first horse to one side. We can pick up our second, which is going to be this one. Now the colour we're going to be using first for this is a roughly 4 parts Gore-Grunta Fur to 1 part contrast medium mix. And this is just to kind of improve the flow a little bit. And we're going to be applying this over the top of all of the horse's flesh. Just like this sort of thing. However, we are going to do one thing slightly differently on this one. And this is when it comes to the legs. So what we're going to do is going to apply this all over. Like this. I'm going to get down here to the hair. Make sure we do the inside as well, so as not to have any weird drying lines. Like that. And I'm going to wash the brush, and then just around the hair, we're just going to blend it out a little bit. Taking most of that paint off. Not all of it, but most of it. And with that now done, we're then going to shade all of the horse's flesh using some Seraphim Sepia, including that horsehair down at the bottom. So with that done, we're now going to take some Gryph-Hound Orange. I'm going to apply this over the top of our diamonds. On either side of the horse. And we're going to apply this over the top of all the cloth. With that Gryph-Hound Orange applied, we're then going to take some Cygor Brown. I'm going to apply this over the top of the sort of hair just here around the saddle blanket. And so with that done, we're now going to take some Black Legion, and we're going to use this for quite a lot of details on this one. So we're going to, as before, use this over the top of the hooves. Like that sort of thing. We're going to use this over the top of all of the leather details. So for example, this little strap here. And we're going to use this over the main part of this one's saddle. Including the cushion. Just as we did before. What we're also going to do with this one is we're going to paint in the trim. And so with that done, we are going to once again take some thinned down Iron Warriors. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the armour, including the ringmail. And with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down Retributor armour. I'm going to use this to pick out all the little flowers. As well as this castle up here. And so with that done, we've just missed it. What we're going to do is we're going to take some Wyldwood and we're going to apply this to the wood just here on the saddle. And with that done, we are then going to once again shade all of the metallics, including the gold, with some Cygor Raid shade. So with that done, there's another horse at the Warhipster Battle Ready standard. So I'm going to pop that one to one side. And now we're going to work on this one. And the colour we're going to be using for this one, nice and simply, is Black Legion. I'm going to be applying this over the top of all of the horse's flesh and hair. And with that Black Legion all applied, we're then going to take some Drakenhof Nightshade. I'm going to use this to shade all the horse's hair and flesh. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Sigvald Burgundy. I'm going to apply this over our diamonds. Like that. We're going to apply this over any of the little bows. On the tassels, like that. And we're also going to apply this over the saddle cloths. What we're going to try to do is avoid the bit that says Sigmar, but don't worry if you do get any on here, that's fine. You can always just reapply some grace here. That sort of thing. And we've also got areas such as these little bits on the reins, and again we just want to avoid the tassels, and where possible the kind of indented bit there, the little Sigmarite cult icon. And with that Sigvald Burgundy applied, like this, what we're then going to do is take some Carroburg Crimson. I'm going to apply this over the top. And so with that now done, we're going to take some Imperial Fist. We're going to apply this over the top of all the tassels and over the top of those details that say Sigmar upon them. And with that Imperial Fist all applied, we're then going to shade it using some Iyanden Yellow. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Snakebite Leather. I'm going to use this to paint in all of the leather straps. So with that now done, we're going to take some Ratling Grime. We're going to apply this over the top of the hooves. And with that done, we're then going to use some Shyish Purple. I'm going to apply this over the top of the cushion. And with that done, we then take some Wyldwood. I'm going to apply this over the top of the wood. And so with that done, it is now time to once again take some thinned down Iron Warriors. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the silver details. So with that now done, we're going to take some thinned down Rune Lord Brass and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the remaining details. So with those metallics now applied, we then once again take some Cygor Raid Shade. I'm going to use this to shade both the Rune Lord Brass and the Iron Warriors. So with that done, that is another horse up to Warhipster battle ready. So we can put the third one to the side and we can go for number 4. Here we go. So colour we're going to be using here first is some Cygor Brown. I'm going to be using this to paint in all of the horse's flesh. I'm just trying to pick a place to start and I'm going to start right on the nose. So with all that Cygor Brown applied, we then take some Ratling Flesh shade and we use this to shade all of the horse's flesh, but we're just going to try and avoid the hair for now. Well, we're just going to try and avoid the hair. So with that now done, we're going to take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over the top of the cloth that's hanging from the leg armour, but not the one under the saddle cloth. So we're just going to do it over these 4 bits here. And so with that done, we're then going to take some Blood Angels Red. And we're going to apply this over the top of the diamonds. like that, and the remaining cloth. So with all that Blood Angel's red applied, what we're then going to do is take some Gore-Grunta Fur. I'm going to use this over the top of all the leather details. And with that done, we're then just going to take some Black Legion. I'm going to apply this over the top of the cushion. With that Black Legion applied, I've actually applied it over the horse's tail and the hair and hooves around the horse's feet as well. I forgot to mention it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the next colour, which is going to be the Wyldwood for the wood on the saddle. And so with that done, as you've probably guessed by now, the next colour we're going to use is some thinned down Iron Warriors. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the silver details. So with that done, what we're now going to do is going to take some thinned down Retributor armour. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of our remaining metallic details, just like we've done before. I'm going to throw you for a loop here, because what we're going to do is we're going to shade all the silver using some Cygor Raid Shade, but we are in fact going to avoid the gold. Don't worry, remain calm. And so, with that Cygor Raid Shade applied, it's not too much of a loop I'm throwing you for, we're going to take some Guilliman Flesh and we're going to use this to shade the gold. And so with that done, to get this one to Warhipster battle ready, we're going to take some Dark Angel's Green and apply this over the top of the leaf. So with that done, our horse is now at Warhipster battle ready, so that's 4 down. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 2 parts contrast medium to 1 part Black Legion mix. I'm going to paint our final horse. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to apply this contrast medium and Black Legion mix all over the top of the horse's Flesh. Just like this. But what we're going to do is going to leave the face and the horse's socks. So with that done, just whilst we're waiting for it to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take Black Legion and we're going to apply this over the top of the horse tail and the mane. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Nuln oil. I'm going to apply this over the top of the horse's face and over the top of its front socks as well. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some grace here and we're going to take a stippling brush. Now, if you need to know how to make a stippling brush, what you can do is you can get a ratty old brush, in this case you've got a medium shade brush, and just clip off the end of it and you get this really short stubbly brush, or you can use an old dry brush. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to take some grace here and we're going to stipple this gently over the top of the neck. And over the top of the bottom of the back legs. Just like this sort of thing. So with that done, we can move on. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some skeleton horde and we're going to apply this over the top of our diamonds, over the top of the tassels, and over the top of the little wraps down on the legs. Like that. And like that. And down here as well. And so with that now done, we're then going to take some Flesh Terrors Red. I'm going to apply this over top of the saddle blanket. With that Flesh Terrors Red applied, we're then going to take some Seraphim Sepia. I'm going to use this to shade our diamonds and our tassels. Just want to take the colour down a little bit and a little bit of warmth in there. Just like that. We should do the same thing for the wraps on the legs as well. I don't know why I just didn't list them. It's been a long day already. So with that now done, we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the straps. And with that done, We're then going to take some Black Legion. I'm going to apply this over the top of the cushion. Like that. And what we're also going to do is going to apply this over the strapping down here. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Wyldwood and we're going to apply this over the top of the wood. See, not everything's different. So with that done, you know what time it is. It is time to grab some thinned down Iron Warriors. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the armour and all of the chains, all the belt buckles, all the same silver details we've been applying this over so far. And so with that done, we are then going to take some thinned down Retributor armour. I'm going to use this to paint in all of our remaining metallic details. And so with all of that Retributor armour applied, we are then going to take some Cygor Raid Shade and we're going to apply this over the top of all the silver, and once again just going to avoid the gold. So with that Cygor Raid Shade applied, we are then going to once again take some Guilliman Flesh. I'm going to use this to shade all the gold. So with that done, all of our horses, here's 3 of them, are now at what I would call a Warhipster battle ready. So here's the 3. And then we have our next 2 as well. Here they are. And they're looking pretty awesome. However, we're clearly not done because we've got knights to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the knights and all the remaining details up to Warhipster battle ready as well. And then we're going to finish them off. So what we're going to do is we are going to start with, once again, our champion. The colour we're going to be using first is Lead Belcher. Now if you want to, at this point, you can do all of the armour across all of our knights, and that is what I'm going to do here, just to speed things up just a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to take this Lead Belcher, I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the armour across all of our knights. And we're just going to do this over the top of the plate. trying to be a little bit brighter. So with that lead belcher all applied to all of the plate armor, and as mentioned, I have done this across all of our knights. What we're going to do is we're going to do another thing across all of the knights, and that is going to be to take some Black Legion. We're going to use this to paint any of the belts around the waist, any little tiny straps holding on armor, and any kind of underclothes. So for example, on this one here, we've got a little gap just there in the wrist, and there in the armpit. No, that's an elbow. Like that. This one also has a very visible belt around the waist. As mentioned, I am going to do this across all of them. And this bit kind of is a bit almost like with the horses, there is a degree of season this to taste. You could do every single leather strap here. Or we could just do the ones that I'm going to be doing. Like this sort of thing. However, in addition, for this one, what we're going to do here is going to use the Black Legion over the top of the rope around the chest. So with that Black Legion applied, I've also actually applied this over the top of the diamond on his shield because it matches with the heraldry on the horse armor, and that's going to be a theme, believe me. But what we're going to do is we're going to paint our last kind of consistent base coat across all of them, and that is going to be some thin down Iron Warriors. And we're going to be applying this across all of the chainmail. And again, I'm going to do this across all of them just so we get this out of the way. So with that all done, it is now time to work on them one by one once again. So what we're going to do is on this guy, we are going to once again take Baal Red. And we're going to apply this over the top of all of his clothes. Like that. We're also going to apply this Baal Red over the shield and the banner. And with that Baal Red all applied, we're then going to take some Guilliman Flesh and we're going to apply this over the top of the face. And with that Guilliman Flesh applied, we're then going to take some Wyldwood and we're going to apply this over the top of the banner pole. and to the inside of the shield. So with that done, we're then going to take some Dark Angel's Green and we're going to apply this over the top of the leaf. And with that Dark Angel's Green applied, we then take some Skeleton Horde and we apply this over the top of the antlers. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Runelord brass. We're going to use this to paint in the trim on our knight, but we're going to leave some details. We're not going to paint all of the kind of remaining metallics. So we're going to paint in this kind of central bit of the helmet, excluding that little crown on top. We're going to paint in the metallics on the banner pole at the back as well. We're going to paint in the trim on his chest. You can see it just in here. Like that. And we're going to paint in the trim on the shield as well. So we've got the metallics back here and up here as an example. And with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down Retributor armor. I'm going to use this to paint in all of our remaining details, including things like the stirrups down here, the decorative details of his weapons, and so on and so on. So with that done, we're now going to take some Caribou Crimson and we're going to shade all of that red. And with that Caribou Crimson all applied, we're then going to take Drakenhof Nightshade and we're going to use this to shade all of our plate armor. And the silver of the weapon. So with all of that applied, what we're then going to do is take some Guilliman Flesh. I'm going to use this to shade the gold. And finally, just to get him up to a Warhipster battle ready, we are going to take some Targor Raid Shade and we're going to use this to shade all the Runelord brass, just like we did on the horse. So that done, our first Cavalier is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready all over. So we're going to pop them to one side and we're going to move on to our next one, which is going to be this one. So the colour we're going to be using next is Gryph-Hound Orange once again. As you can see, we've already done all of the silver and black and things. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply this Gryph-Hound Orange over the top of all the cloth, like that, and we're going to apply this over the top of the diamond on the shield. Like so. And with that done, we're then going to take some Black Legion and we're going to apply this over the top of the sword handle. Like that. We're going to apply this over the top of the fish. Like that. We've got the trim on this helmet as well that we're also going to do with the black, just like we did on the horse. And the other thing we're going to do here with the Black Legion is we're going to apply this over the top of the hand back here, and over the top of the facing of the shield. So with that now done, we're going to take some thinned down Retributor armour. I'm going to apply this over the top of this large star here on the chest. Like that. We're going to apply this over the top of the end of the belt buckle. The decorative features on the sword, the trident on the top, the trim on the shield, the stirrups, and the kind of top and bottom casing of the bit on the back. So with all of that gold applied, we're then going to take some Gryph-Charger Grey and we're going to apply this over the top of the hourglass. like this. And with that done, we're then going to use some skeleton horde to paint in the paper just here. And we're going to use some iron warriors to paint in those last few bits over here on the hourglass. We're not going to film it just for the sake of time. You guys have seen a lot of iron warriors already. So with that done, we're now going to add shades, and we are going to be using Drakenhof Nightshade to shade all of the silver, just like we did on our previous night. What we're also going to do with this Drakenhof Nightshade is we're going to apply this over the top of any solid black details. So areas like the trim and things. And with that done, we are once again using Guilliman Flesh to shade all the gold. So with that done, that's another one at Warhipster battle ready, so we can move on to our next one, which is of course this guy. The colour we're going to be using for him first is Imperial Fist. I'm going to be applying this over the top of the sash. And the shield facing. With that Imperial Fist applied and drying, what we're going to do is going to take some Sigvald Burgundy and we're going to apply this over the diamond on the shield. And with that done, we're then going to take some Wyldwood and we're going to apply this over the top of the inside of the shield and over the top of the haft of his mace. And with that done, it's once again time for some Black Legion for the bird. And just before we do our remaining metallic, what we're going to do is we're going to take Iyanden Yellow once again and use this to shade our yellow details. So with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down Runelord brass. I'm going to apply this over all of this man's remaining metallic details and trim and things like that. Just like this. So with that done, we're then going to once again use Drakenhof Nightshade. I'm going to use this to shade all the silver and the bird. And with that done, we're then going to shade all the Runelord brass using some Cygor Brown shade. It makes its return. And so with that done, we then take Carroburg Crimson and we use this to shade the diamond. So with that done, that's number 3 at Warhipster Battle ready. So now for number 4. And we're going to use some Blood Angels Red here. I'm going to apply this over the top of the diamond. And we're going to apply this Blood Angels Red over the top of this kind of, I guess, sort of like a medallion almost around his neck. And with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down lead belcher and we're going to apply this over the shield facing around the diamond. And with that done, we're then going to take some Wyldwood. I'm going to apply this over the top of the inside of the shield and to the haft of the weapon. And with that done, we're then going to take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over the top of the large animal skull back here and the paper on the shield. So with that now done, we're going to take some thinned down Retributor armor and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the remaining details. This guy's nice and simple. And with that done, once again, we're going to take some Drakenhof Nightshade. I'm going to use this to shade all of our lead belcher, so including the shield, all the plate armor. And with that done, we then take Guilliman Flesh once again. And we use this to shade all the gold. So with that done, this one is now at Warhipster battle ready. So we have saved the main event till last, of course. We have our banner here, and that's what we're going to work on first. And then we're going to finish him off. There won't be any surprises with him. You probably already figured it out by now. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with some Iyanden Yellow here. And we're going to apply this over the top of, well, rather inside of, the stars and the twin-tailed comet along this side of the banner. And with that done, we're then going to take Baal Red and we're going to apply this to the section of the banner here and on the other side, but the main body of the banner is in fact going to be black. And so with that Baal Red applied over both sides, what we're now going to do is take Black Legion. And we're going to apply this over the top of the remaining parts of the banner, excluding the diamond. So with that now done, we're then going to take some Skeleton Horde. I'm going to apply this over the top of the paper trail, just here. I'm going to apply it over the large diamond. On the banner, on both sides of course. And we're also going to apply this over the top of the diamond on the shield here, and the skull down here, and that's it, I think. Yes. Oh no, I've got a skull up here as well. So with that Skeleton Horde applied to all of those details, what we're then going to do is take some Flesh Tearers Red. We're going to apply this over the top of the sword sheath. Way too much paint on my brush there. Like this. We're also going to apply this over the top of the twine around the top of the banner, and we're also going to apply this over the shield facing around here. And with that done, we're then going to take some Black Legion. I'm going to apply this over the top of little flowers and skulls on the top of this shield, and as you can see, I've already done this over the top of the grip of the sword on the back. And so with that done, we're then going to take some Wyldwood and we're going to apply this over the top of his false leg down here. We're going to apply this over the top of the banner pole and the interior of the shield. So once again, we're applying this over the top of all of our wood details. And with that done, we're then going to take some Gore-Grunta Fur and we're going to apply this over the top of the belt, going across the chest. And so with that done, our final base coat is going to be some thinned down Retributor armor. And we're going to apply this over the top of all of our remaining details. So with that now done, we're going to take some Drakenhof Nightshade. I'm going to use this to shade all of the silver and the black of the flag. And then of course we're going to take some Guilliman Flesh and we're going to use this to shade all the gold. And so with that done, to finish it off, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Carroburg Crimson and we're going to use this to shade the red of the flag. So with that, all of our Cavaliers are now at what I would call a Warhipster battle ready. As you can see, they're all looking rather fabulous and awesome. And well, we're not going to leave it there, of course we're not. We're going to take them to the next level. We're going to do this by adding some layers and some highlights, but there's not going to be too many of these. But what we are going to do in this position is we are going to do a lot of kind of the very consistent things across all of them, and then we'll pick out all of the individual highlights towards the end. So for example, all the metallics are going to be highlighted in the same way. For example, all the Rune Lord brass and all of the Retributor armor. And of course, all of the silvers are going to be done in the same way. And that is where we're going to start. So we're going to mostly focus on this guy, of course, but we will be doing this across all 5. So the color we're going to be making first is a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Iron Warriors and Iron Hands Steel. And we're going to use this to relayer all of the horse armor, just avoiding any nicks and scrapes and anywhere where our shade has really settled. We just want to get this all over like this, make them nice and bright and shiny, but not too bright and shiny, you know. This is a perfect mix for this because it's still got that kind of heaviness of the Iron Warriors in there, with a little bit of extra brightness from the Iron Hand Steel. So with that now done, it's amazing how much that brightens them right up. And what we're going to do now is we're going to, once again, across all of them, take some thinned down Iron Hand Steel just on its own. I'm going to use this to relayer all the plate armor. Again, just avoiding any recesses or any places where our shade has really settled. And so with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down Iron Breaker. We're going to use this to highlight every single bit of silver upon the model. So with those silver highlights applied, he's got this kind of very bright loveliness going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue highlighting metallics, and we're going to use some thinned down Liberator Gold to highlight all of the gold across all of our miniatures. So with that gold highlighted, we've then got one last metallic to do. And this is going to be more of a relayer than it is a highlight. What we're going to do is we're going to once again take some Runelord Brass. I'm going to use this to relayer all of our large open parts of Runelord Brass. So for example, this trim down here. But then when it gets to a face like this, we're just going to kind of gently brush over the top of it. More of a dry brush really. There, like that. This creates a clear distinction between the gold and the brass. Not that there isn't already, but when it's brightened up. So with all of that done, these guys are really, they've just taken a massive leap forward, as you can see. Look at that. We've got even more here. Lots and lots of loveliness going on. Of course, got our last one just here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to part ways. And, well, you and I aren't going to part ways. What we're going to do is we're going to start highlighting up our individual details. And for this guy is where we're going to start. We're going to get him done, and then we're going to move on to the next one, and so on and so forth. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking some thinned down Wraithbone. We're going to use this to highlight the horse. Now, we're going to be picking out the horse tail, much as I'm doing just here. You don't have to do every strand. That. What we're also going to do is we're going to highlight the horse's flesh. Now, what we're going to do here on this guy is around the socks is we're actually going to do lots of little downward lines. So we're just going to down here, start just doing this type of thing. Just towards the bottom. Like so. But then when you get higher up, you just want to add little tiny highlights around the muscles. So for example, just there, like that. We've got the knee just under here, just like that sort of thing. So with that done, a little bit more colour on that horse and it, well, is finished. Doesn't need too much more than that. So what we're going to do is move on to all of the black details, and the colour we're going to be using to highlight these is some thinned down Dawnstone. And I'm just going to start here, along the neck. And so with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down Evil Sun Scarlet. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the red. And so with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down Fire Dragon Bright. And we're going to apply this to the sharpest points of all of that red. So, for example, just here at the front, I'm just going to add a little bit of this, like that, like that. So with that done, we're dangerously close to finishing one now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Black Legion, just a small amount of this. And we're going to apply this over the top of his eyes. And with that done, we're then going to take a tiny amount of Flayed One Flesh. And we're going to use this to highlight what little of the face we can see. And finally, just to finish this one off, what we're going to do is we're going to take a teeny tiny little dot of Screaming Skull. Apply this in the corners. Of each of the eyes. So let's move on very swiftly to the next one, and that's going to be this guy. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Screaming Skull. We're going to use this to highlight the bits of horsehair down here in the socks. Just like this. And with that done, we're then going to take some Deathclaw Brown and we're going to use this to highlight the horse's muscles and tail. And with that done, we're then going to take some Bestigor Flesh. I'm going to use this to highlight the orange. So with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down Dawnstone, and we're going to use this to highlight all of the black. Moving on then to our next horse, and what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Iyanden Grey. I'm going to use this to highlight the horse's flesh and the horse's hair. What we'll also do with the Iyanden Grey is highlight that bird. So with that all done, we've got a lovely little bit of structure added into the horse. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take some thinned down Morghast bone, and we're going to use this to highlight all the yellow. So with that Morghast bone all applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Genestealer purple. I'm going to use this to highlight the burgundy. So with that done, that is another horse in the done pile. So what we're going to do now is move on to our next one, which is this guy. So what we're going to do is we're once again going to use some thinned down Iyanden Grey here. I'm going to use this to highlight the horse's tail and that hair around the horse's feet. And with that Iyanden Grey applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Blood Reaver flesh, and we're going to use this to highlight the horse's skin. So with that done, we can now take some thinned down Evil Sun Scarlet once again. I'm going to use this to highlight all the red. And with that Evil Sun Scarlet applied, we then once again take some Fire Dragon Bright. We apply this to the sharpest points in all that red. So with that done, we have one last horse remaining, of course. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking some Corax White And we're just going to use this to highlight the face and the hair around the socks. So with that Corax white applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Dawnstone. And we're going to use this to highlight the horsetail and the mane. We're going to use this to highlight the flesh of the horse. And any other black details on the knight, excluding the banner. So with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down Screaming Skull. I'm going to use this to highlight the tassels. We got a little dot in the horse's eye, of course. I'm going to highlight those skulls as well. And so with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down Thunderhawk blue. I'm going to use this to highlight the black of the banner. And with that Thunderhawk blue applied, we then take a little bit of rust grey and we use this to just catch the sharpest points in all that black. So with that done, we're now going to finish it off by taking a touch of Squig Orange. I'm going to use this to highlight all of our Flesh Terror's red areas. It's a little heavy. There we go. That's it. So there we have it. With the basing done and the decals applied, our Cavaliers are now finished. I think they look absolutely amazing. Stunning, in fact. I would take them home to meet my mother. Except she probably disapproves. They are probably the best looking cavalry miniatures I've ever seen. And I'm so happy with how they've come out. I think they look amazing. And you could just do all of them as one of these schemes. But here's 5 for you.
If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to support me a little bit further, you absolutely can do. Head over to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And you can also become a YouTube channel member, just like this incredible bunch of folks scrolling up on the screen before you. There's a hell of a lot of you, and well, I can't do this without you. YouTube and Patreon, you guys absolutely keep the lights on and make all of this worth it. Thank you so much to all of you for everything you do. And if you really like this video and you just want to shoot me a little thanks, you can click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.